One common belief is that bears reuse the same den year after year. This den was used during the winter of 1975. I've been back here and checked it every winter since, and it's never been reused, and that's typical. We've learned that only about 4% of the dens are reused in any given year, and of those that are reused, only half are reused by the same bear. We were able to learn a great deal about the reproductive success of female bears by going into their dens each spring, immobilizing the mothers, weighing them, and inspecting their cubs. We learned at what age females began to produce cubs, how frequently they gave birth, how many cubs were in their litters, and how many of those cubs would survive their first year of life. It soon became obvious in our study that the mother's nutrition had a profound influence on nearly every aspect of her reproductive performance. In areas like Alaska or Montana, where foods are relatively scarce, studies have shown that black bears grow slowly, and females may not successfully breed until 7 or even 8 years of age. And in some cases, they may only raise 1 litter of cubs every 3 or 4 years. Here in Pennsylvania, where foods are abundant, over 80% of our 2.5-year-old females are breeding successfully, and over 95% of all adult females are producing cubs every other year. And not only are they breeding at earlier ages and during shorter intervals, they're also producing larger litters. Throughout much of North America, litters of 2 are most common. Litters of 4 and 5 are almost unheard of. But here in Pennsylvania, litters of 3 are most common. Nearly half of all our litters consist of 3 cubs. Litters of 4 are about as common as litters of 2, and litters of 5, believe it or not, are about as common as litters of 1. And after processing over 500 cubs out of spring dens like this, we've determined that there's a very significant relationship between the mother's age, her weight, and the number of cubs that she produces. And what we've found is that it is the heavier, older females that are producing the larger litters. About the time winter's blanket of snow melts away, exposing the forest floor, the bears emerge from their dens and begin feeding for the first time in months. Ironically, food shortages for some animals during winter sometimes result in food abundance for bears in spring. White-tailed deer are plentiful throughout most of the bear range in Pennsylvania, and after long winters of particularly deep snow, many thousands of deer starve to death, providing bears with some of their first meals in the spring. Also during early spring, bears begin feeding on newly emerging vegetation. One preferred plant, which is very high in protein this time of year, is skunk cabbage. It grows in wetlands and is one of the first plants to emerge in the spring. Bears also feed on young grasses and climb into the treetops to feed on newly sprouting leaves. Later in spring, bird nests are sometimes raided for their eggs, such as this nest of a wild turkey. Bears also spend considerable amounts of time and energy looking for insects to eat. They often flip rocks and rip apart rotten stumps and logs, searching for insects and their eggs. At times when food is scarce and a family of bears finds some nourishment, squabbles often break out between competing siblings. During late May and early June, before they've developed the strength and endurance to keep up with their mother, white-tailed fawns are quite vulnerable to bear predation. Summer is the season of berries for Pennsylvania bears. June berries, found throughout the hardwood forest, are some of the earliest berries available, followed by blackberries and raspberries, which abound in many areas of early forest succession. Blueberries are particularly abundant in Pennsylvania's wetlands and represent one of the most important foods for bears during the summer. As fall approaches, the appetites of bears become insatiable. Some studies have shown that they consume over 20,000 calories a day. During this season, many of Pennsylvania's adult males are gaining over 2 pounds a day. One bear we studied gained 128 pounds in 60 days. Acorns, beech nuts, cherries, and fruits of many other plants make this possible in preparation for a long winter starvation. Black bears feed on a wide variety of both plant and animal matter. They often shift their diet from one substance to another, depending on the distribution, abundance, and availability of foods. This omnivorous, opportunistic feeding strategy has served bears very well for many thousands of years, but with the recent increasing interactions with humans, this strategy can lead to their demise.